The Monmouth University women's basketball team returns home for a pair of games this weekend as they take on Bryant Saturday and Central Connecticut State on Monday. And I'm happy to steal a few minutes out of Coach Jenny Palmateer's week of preparation getting ready for those games. And Coach, before we look forward, I'd like to take a look backwards. And you're coming off a win on Monday night against your rival Fairleigh Dickinson. It was a game that was kind of nip and tuck in the first half before you guys ultimately pulled away. But how important is it that your team is able to get that non-league win? Again, you had a lead early, and then it was kind of back and forth for a while before you ultimately pulled away late.
I think that win was huge for us for a couple of reasons, really. I mean, one, we were coming off a not-so-great showing at Sacred Heart. And so while we needed the win for conference standings, and we know how important each and every win is, especially home games, we needed this one for our confidence a little bit. Get back to, what we like to think of as Monmouth basketball, playing with a lot of energy, and, having different people step up in that game was huge for us because, you get to this point in the season, everybody's scouting, and they can take things away. And so to have somebody like Sarah English step up big in that game, Shavana Palvas come up with a big layup in a critical moment after they had taken the lead. To have some people step up like that was huge. Hopefully we're going to get a lot of mileage out of that win. That
was my next question. I was going to say, it seems like every time we speak during these preview interviews, we're talking about a different player stepping up. And like you said, this past week it was Sarah who just looks more comfortable every game that she plays. And how important is it, down the stretch, having a player like that where, there's not a lot of great size in the Northeast Conference, but having a player that you can rely on to score down low has to be a big added benefit.
Absolutely. And, our two next opponents have a lot of size. So it would be really nice to be able to count on Sarah in those games. And then the other thing is, we have a lot of players that can step up for us. Another one is Dee, who came off the bench first half against FDU and gave quality minutes. Then Sarah was doing so well, had a hard time getting her back in the game. But certainly another post for us with some size and some, somebody that likes to be physical that I feel like we could go to anytime we need.
And as much as those players have, added into what's going on, and Sarah being a new player has contributed, I like to always still look at, the core veterans, and I know you have that group that are now seniors. They've been to a couple NEC championship games. They kind of know what's going on. The Gabby Singers, Alicia Womack's, Carly Tebow's, Abby Martin's, that group. How important is it for players like Sarah and some of the younger players who have played very well recently, to lean on that group now as they've been through these games, these grind games in the Northeast Conference, and they know kind of what it takes to get it done now as we enter the second half of league play?
I think it's huge, and really even just down the stretch here, we've been really stressing to our seniors, like, we're going to go as far as you take us. And we have great people, a great group of girls that can come in and help that. But for all the reasons you just said, we know we got to count on our seniors. They have to be consistent. They know how tough it gets. They know how the intensity increases as the season moves along. Leading up to seedings and all of that, kind of positioning in conference and then in the tournament. And so they have that experience, and most of them have been playing since their freshman year. So we've been talking about that a lot, and I feel like the seniors are now, they're kind of embracing that. And I think, the finality of it all is kind of sinking in. I mean, we're almost in February already, which amazes me, really, how fast the season has gone. And I think, when you have a group of seniors, when that hits, it could be a really powerful thing.
We talk about the season, and I agree with you. It seems to just be speeding up, especially once league play starts. And now we kind of fast forward to where these next two games kind of take you over that halfway point in the league schedule. We'll start with Saturday's game against Bryant, second game in a row at home, but then Monday obviously being the third. But, the 3 o'clock start, as you said, Bryant, a team that does have size, that is playing better in the conference. What challenges are they going to present to you and your team on Saturday?
Well, I think they have size and a good mix of athleticism. And so defensively they really use that. They'll throw a couple different schemes at us, some man, some zone, some full court, and so we'll have to be able to handle that and for sure put points on the board. And they do a good job, pushing the tempo a little bit when they want to. We'll have to really try to control the tempo against them. And then Central has a lot of size. They have a couple players back that sat out last year, I believe, due to injury. But they might be one of the biggest teams in the NEC. And so that will cause a whole, another set of challenges for us. But we're excited. We're really glad to have these two at home. I know last year they were two really tough road games for us, and so with the quality opponent like Bryant and Central, we're really fortunate to be able to play those at home.
And Coach, what are some of the points, what are some of the key things that your team needs to do well, both Saturday and Monday, to make sure that they go out and win 2 league games and continue kind of striving for that NEC home game in the tournament?
I think first and foremost we have to play with a lot of energy. We have a tendency when things aren't really going like we hope to start a game on the offensive end. It affects our defense a little bit. Can't happen. We have to bring our defensive effort and our intensity from tip to the final buzzer. So that is huge. And then secondly, we have to be able to execute and take care of the ball. We're not a team that's shooting a great percentage right now, so we need all the possessions we can get. And so taking care of the ball is going to be critical in both of those games.
Well, I know the team's going to listen to what you just said, and we know that. But I want to now kind of be selfish a little bit and almost on our behalf have you address the crowd and the people watching and listening to this interview right now and tell them just how important they are to the team's effort.
Well, for sure, we want to fill the MAC, and I can't stress enough, like your energy level affects our energy level so much. When that place is rocking, it's an extra 10, 15 points for us. So, I can assure you we're going to go out there, we're going to give our best, and we'd love to have you in the stands supporting us. So come on out this weekend.
And to build on Coach Palmateer's point, there's a lot going on campus this weekend. We'll start with the women's game Saturday, where we will be unveiling the new Monmouth Mob Student Section t-shirt. The first 250 students, beginning with the women's game at 3 o'clock, that come to the MAC will get their limited edition Monmouth Mob t-shirt presented by our friends at Surf Taco. And then on Monday night, the new promotion that is now up on Monmouth social media and on GoMeHawks.com is Monmouth Women's Basketball Dollar Days. Go to the article, print out the dollar, and bring it to the game, and you get one free lower level ticket for $1. And also, tickets are still available for both contests by calling 732-263-5735 or emailing hawktickets@monmouth.edu. I promise you, you're going to want to see Coach Palmateer and the Monmouth women's basketball team take flight these 2 games at the MAC.